the best thing what we can add is, apart from all our exposure, experiences, learnings, the best thing is leave our legacy and train few more people like us. When I was leading that site and we ended up with 0 that was also a success. But there are other chances where some inspections eventually went into warning letter. Then we had to work on warning letter. So inspections is always a roller coaster. There are successes, the very big success, and there are failures, the crazy failures.
So what was the most difficult quality decision you have had to make that directly impacted production or business? But did people hated you?
Yeah, of course. I think I was not only hated. I think I was. I don't know. Maybe I would have lost my job that time. I always say, no, we have to take sometimes very conservative decisions in the interest of company. Because, and just take bite with pinch of salt. That's it. I think whether you like it or you don't like it. And that is the due respect we should give it to the profession. So I had to take such decisions. So why these microbiologists don't work in production? Very interesting question, right? Why our companies are not recruiting microbiologists for production activities? Why microbiologists are only working in QC or QA? That really given me a lot of thought provocation.
Where do most aseptic failure actually originate? Is it from systems, people, or culture?
End of the day, if I have to blame for the outcome of contamination is systems. Because so unless you don't bring in that systems, nothing can change. So culture always will haunt you. People always do mistakes.
So today's guest is a frontline defender of one of the most unforgiving space in pharma, Steriles and Biologics quality. A microbiologist by training with 23 plus years of global experience, he has led high-risk sterile operations, faced the toughest regulators, and built inspection-ready cultures across organizations. From FDA audits to aseptic discipline, he lives with zero error thinking begins. Please welcome Mr. Hemanth Panasa, Steriles and Biologics Quality Leader at Cipla. Hello, sir.
Okay,
How are
thank
you
you.
doing?
Thank you. Thank you, yeah.
So, sir, you have been in the industry for so long. It's been 23 plus years, 2 decades.
Yeah, 25 plus, yeah.
25?
25 plus years, yes.
Is this your silver jubilee then?
Yeah, last year I think I completed 25 years. I think this year 26 years.
26 years, almost. You'll be completing 3 decades. So our audience is really keen to know about your journey. How did you start as before 25 years ago? How did you started and everything?
Okay, so it is, I don't know, I think the start is, it was all I can say this was eventual destiny, because I did my BSc with microbiology, then I did my MSc with microbiology. Then after passing out, we are not very clear, what kind of opportunities will open up. We know microbiology is good. There are a lot of opportunities because media used to say, the publications used to say, and there are a lot of discussions buzz around.
Oh.
And we also know that there are some scientific sectors open for microbiology, but we were not knowing how exactly that works for corporate, in a corporate sector. So then after my MSc post-graduation, MSc with microbiology, then I started as a research associate one of the project. But that was mainly an agriculture biotechnology project. That was not core pharma. Then I worked a few years as a project associate. But I always had a aspiration to come to pharma industry. So it was more of a research organization in agriculture, but I intend to come to pharma. Then I started exploring for opportunities. So when I was I basically belong to my hometown near Hyderabad. And it was a small town, and I was working in agriculture research station. Then I was desperately looking for opportunities across country. Wherever I go, I wanted to go to pharma sector. Then one day, it was kind of a miracle, I can say. One opportunity knocked my door, which is Baxter in Delhi. Okay. So, and that was the first time I I don't know where the Manesar, like I never visited Haryana. Also, I visited Delhi before that once as a student, but I was not nothing known much. Then this company called me, they interviewed me in phone, then they said that you can come, and I don't know where it is, that Gurgaon. Then I went there, then I presented as a personal interview, then they selected me, and that was the first pharmaceutical company. After a couple of years of my post graduation, I started there. Yeah, you are right. I think if you really count pharma, they are 23, 24 years. But overall, it's around 26 years after my post graduation. Then in Baxter, that's an American MNC. It's most respectable company, one of the most respectable company in the world. Yes. And in Manesar, they had a state of the art facility that time. Then I was kind of one of the initial set of people who started that. So that's where it's more of a destiny, I could say, because I did wanted to do something in microbiology, and also into the pharma sector, because microbiology has application in almost every industry. Yes. But pharma was booming that time, and it has connected with healthcare. So I wanted to work in pharma. Then it was kind of opening up a big opportunity for me. From there, I think I never had to look back, because Baxter given me very good opportunity. It was we were kind of, that site was kind of a very state of the art at that point of time, early 2000, because that time injectables was not into in India in many companies. Then GMPs were even evolving in that time, particularly for sterile injectables. Then I joined there, and I worked as a bench microbiologist. I learned a lot of things. I reviewed the processes, sterile processes. Then I participated in a lot of validations. Then I learned a lot of things there. Then I think that foundation was very strong for me. I think I really very happy that I started my pharma journey with Baxter. Today, whatever I do, still there are certain things which I learned back in 2020, 2002, 2003 in Baxter. So that's where then I started my journey, and then I changed companies. That's where I am here now as a leader.
I think it's really important when you associate with a really good and big company in your initial year, that actually creates a lot of impact in your leadership journey.
True, true. So because that really very very important, because like Baxter had a very different way of working. So which that time I was not knowing, like how industry works and all, because that was my first company. But once I come back after that, and I see the world and different companies in India and abroad, and I visited many places foreign, then I really find how how much passion they had, and how they evolve that system there, and how they transfer businesses from one country to other country, how they expand. That was really awesome, because that was the first of its kind. Then they almost recruited everyone as a fresher. So it was a very small plant, and there were 100 people in that plant. I can say 1985 to 90 people out of 100 are just fresh graduates from college. And out of 10, there are only experienced people, and 2 or 3 Baxter, the original expats, and they remain the experienced people in India as a leaders. And all the working executives are fresh, just graduates from college. And there are IT graduates, diploma holders, engineers, and science graduates, but everyone is just coming out of college. That's how because there was no talent available, and they hired all these people from college, and they trained them, and they train them the way they want, because Baxter is a company, they replicate the technologies and processes, and they train the way they want. And they like, we were into the two back we were talking about Six Sigma, lean management, Kaizen. We never heard of. And many of the companies in typical Indian companies have not even adopted that. So that was really helped me to visualize many things at this early stage of my career.
Great. Okay. So do you remember what was your first high stakes sterile inspection of your career, and what did it teach you about fear, preparation, and leadership?
Okay, so the high stake, when you say high stake, when I was in Baxter, like we were working so hard, and we had Baxter used to do a corporate audits. although this is not from regulatory agency, but that is very high stake at this point of time, because that was considered one of the most stringent, because if there are the experts, and since it's a sterile facility, so, and we were new site, and most of them are fresh graduates, nobody have any experience of facing audit. So that was like kind of, and that facility was built, and there were cases if the corporate auditors were not happy, and they don't even mind to close the site and keep the site closed for some more time, some many years, if they don't up to standard. So there was so much this, and then I was the microbiologist, and fortunately, unfortunately, 2 out of 1 auditor is a microbiologist, and then he sat all 4 or 5 days in my lab, and he was evaluating everything, and that was the first of its kind, and I just faced an audit. Of course, it was not a regulatory inspection, but it was high stake audit, I can say. But then it was very, very good, and it was a very good experience for me. Then after that, I faced many audits, and then sterile injectables, I faced audits, you can say, from WHO, from European agencies, and from US agencies. And initial days, I was like, one of the team member in the audits, inspections. Then eventually I had to lead inspections. I think I can say then after my journey, after 8 to 10 years, I led one inspection where that is considered as one of the most complicated, where we had 5 agencies together, and we have 7 inspectors. So it was FDA, MHRA, and Canada, and TGA, and in the CDA. So it was kind of a inspection, joint inspection, and under some protocol, shared protocol. So we were kind of guinea pigs, I can say. So I was leading that inspection front end, and all these inspectors were very well reputed, quote unquote, like national expert type inspectors. So that is one of the most complex inspection I handled. I can say I led. Then apart from that, there were numerous inspections, at least around 20-25 inspections in my journey with all stringent regulatory agencies. I managed, and I responses. In that, there are it kind of a roller coaster, because some inspections were very successful with outcome as 0483. Then one of the I was leading to one company in Hyderabad where I was QA head there. Then it was a greenfield site, very prestigious site, and that was the first inspection when I was leading that site, and we ended up with 0483. That was that was also a success. But there are other chances where some inspections eventually went into warning letter. Then we had to work on warning letter, and we had to uh, initiate a big remediation. So inspections is always a roller coaster. There are successes, the very big success, and there are failures, the crazy failures. So it's all a journey, I believe, and everything taught us something, some new every time, either success or failure, and that's where we taken up and we continued the journey.
Great. Like it must have been very stressful situation for you. So many people involved, 7 inspectors.
Yes.
Then the warning letters and everything. How did you manage leading everything, staying motivated, and motivating your team? How did you manage that?
Okay, so that is kind of interesting. I think I could say that is one of my strength, I can say, and people do say, because and out of 20-25 years around in my overall career, I can say at least 15 years, 12 to 15 years, I was working in a crisis management situation, particularly with respect to either I was working for a new greenfield project, working on timelines and the project, or I was working on a remediation where the site was under warning letter, or I was working on a site which is just newly developed and going for a first time inspection, right? But it's good. I think I really enjoyed, and one of the biggest couple of things which I practiced always is the keeping everyone the keeping information open is one of the very important thing when you are working in such complex projects and remediation. So the absolute transparency among the team, if people are working, a team of people working, particularly cross functions, so putting everything on the table, discussing everything, all pros and cons, and keeping everything, sharing that information on timely manner is one of the biggest elements. So which is something which I always used to practice, because the timely communication and the real communication, right? So that way, I think people are well informed in advance. That is one thing. Second thing is, one of the technique I learned, although initially days I worked as a core microbiologist, then eventually I moved to quality systems, compliance, and validations. Although I was not a bench microbiologist, but that microbiology learning helped me, right? Because you can visualize a lot of things. Nothing is like you. Microbiology is all about visualizing things, right? You cannot see anything, right? There is a basic science which will teach you how to visualize things, how to forecast things. So that has been my strength, I can say, that predictability, right? You can predict, you can visualize, and you can anticipate. And when you are working with a good people, right people, with a proper communication spread across, and if you can foresee some risk, anticipate the outcomes, I think that really give you a lot of help, right? That will help you to achieve the targets. So that way, I think it's been, I think we had to, only thing is we had to work hard. I think there were times which we were working 12 hours, 14 hours. But every time it has been very encouraging, right? Because I seen a lot of results. Every time we have been worked hard, that it was yielding to some good outcome. Although sometimes it takes more time than anticipated, but as long as you were committed and you were giving your best and you get the results, then I think hard work is not a real issue. Right? You can always, you get enough motivation to work more and more. Success is the biggest, I always say, right? Success is the biggest motivation anybody can. That's it. I think result is the biggest motivation. Successful result is the biggest motivation you get. And I think rest all the secondary. And that will be aggravated when you have right team in place and you get that encouragement, right, and you get that appreciation. Then the biggest thing I really enjoyed in my career is, then I really spread that prosperity and success, right? So when people also take the share of that success, then when they get motivated and they really feel and acknowledge that they learned something from you and they really enjoyed working with you, that is the second biggest motivation, right? Because end of the day, what we the best thing what we can add is, apart from all our exposure, experiences, learnings, the best thing is leave our legacy and train few more people like us. They can carry this, make this whole, I always like that one punchline statement in Game of Thrones, right? So we are here to make this world better than what we received. So the ultimate goal of every person is, I think you don't need to do big things. You just make things better than what you received. If everybody works in that manner, I think that's it. Whatever the situation you are in, you make it something better before you leave.
So, sir, what was the most difficult quality decision you have had to make that directly impacted production or business?
Okay, very interesting question, because because this is very interesting, because I think every quality person, individual, will have this, because quality is somewhere whatever we do, right? And end of the day, quality and business should go hand in hand. If there is no business, there is nothing called a compliance, and if there is no compliance, then business cannot sustain, right? So, but whatever although this is true, but quality business should work independently, right? There is not like a partners in crime, right? They have to have their own objectives and they have own deliverables, and they have their own independent accountabilities, right? And some people always strive for business and quality, although intended to support business, but they have their independent expectation, right? They have to think independently, evaluate the risk independently, anticipate, then uh, take some hard decisions, which is like it's a protecting the business, right? No, like how parents protect the child,
Yes.
right? Child never likes parents sometimes, right? But still parents have to take the decision, although it is not in the interest of child, but it is more of a protecting the child, right? So quality is many times have to do that. whether it is. So one of the toughest decision I think which was having a lot of business impact is once I joined a new company, and it is a greenfield project and it's a very large site, and they're they were doing all there was a lot of things are going on, and they're just about to go for some FDA inspection because they made some submissions, and the FDA inspection is going to happen anytime, right? So when all the going gaga, then they also had some challenges. Then I inducted into that system. Then I came in and I was given an opportunity to evaluate and give my perspective. Then I spent the initial 1 month. I said that forget about inspection. We cannot go for inspection. Then 3 months inspection is not feasible possible, but we cannot do any activity for next 3 to 6 months to correct whatever we did. So that was kind of a big jolt to everyone, to the management, to the business, like how we can like just take a pass whatever we are doing, and defer the inspection which is anticipated anytime, and take some time to take a step back to correct it. Then take a move on. So that was one of the toughest and most challenging I had to put in among the team as a new individual in the group. And I said, if you're expecting the results from me, and this is what I wanted, and this is the reason, then I think it was escalated at a very high level. Then I had to give my perspective. I had to give reasons. I could demonstrate why I'm saying so, and I could. When I convinced the management, then and the management supported that decision at last. Although of course there was so much difference of opinions that time and resistance that time. But finally, we took that decision and we delayed and we corrected everything, the baseline documentation, baseline systems. Then that ended up into 0483. After, I think we delayed inspection for around 9 months. And I think, and everybody realized that was the right decision that time, right? But I think for that, I really had to have that conviction first, and that articulation, why I am saying so, and that conviction. And moreover, after that conviction, after that getting that confidence, but I had to work and deliver the results, right? That is the biggest part, in which I did. Then, that's what, then once you get that success and once you have, and that is the real best part of your whole journey. I think I could experience couple of such episodes in my career, which really keep me motivated.
Okay. But did people hated you?
Yeah, of course. Yes. I think I was not only hated. I think I was. I don't know. Maybe I would have lost my job that time. If I would have pursued even harder. I would have pushed harder. Then there was a time that I would have lost my job, but that's fine. I think end of the day I could protect my job, and I also could protect company.
Because delaying the inspection for 9 months is like a huge loss.
Yes, it's a huge effect on the company, but otherwise, I don't know. Maybe that implications would have been even tougher.
Yes, and
to more loss. To more delay, right? Because there are companies which I seen now, particularly injectable space. There are companies which are just built and not able to not able to get that approval, and there are 5 years, 10 years, the sites are still struggling because that baseline, the impression you create is very, very important, right? And there are two types of outcomes, right? Sometimes you really just build everything and go, and the initial inspections are little mild, and you complete with 483 and you start commercial manufacturing, then you get a hit. Sometimes you try to do in hurry, then you get a hit in the first attempt itself. That is more dangerous, because then your baseline itself is being criticized. It's very difficult to then again come back into the race. So that is more vulnerable situation.
Correct.
And irrespective of the resistance or short-term criticism you get, or resistance you get in the system, then end of the day you have to take that stand. Otherwise, that is very, very important. right? And there are many numerous occasions where we had to take decisions to reject the batches. And one of the MNC I worked at, I really respect that policy of that company. So I had to work in one of the top pharmaceutical company of the world, where we used to have a standard policy. If batch is rejected by a site quality, so there are every time you escalate, if batch rejection decision is made by one person at a site level, when it goes to next level, nobody can revert the decision. If site take a decision to release the batch, the next level can take a decision to reject the batch. So every level you go up, at any level, if you take a decision to reject the batch, there is no further negotiation. Even if global quality head comes and he or she cannot revert the decision, if somebody make a decision to reject the batch. So that is the written policy in that company. So it means then there is no negotiation by business people, operations people. Okay, now see if you reject the batch, then I'll go to your boss and get it done. So there is no opportunity in that company. So because that is not possible. So I think that is the kind of empowerment given by that company. And sometimes there are some wrong decisions are taken by people, but that's okay, right? But company don't want to take that risk of using that authority and power to reject, to release some spurious batch or substandard batch, which will be a very big loss to the company. So there are certain companies, certain practices which are very conservative side and which are good. It's good to be conservative sometimes, right? Because end of the day, you are protecting the company. So we have to, like in quality, I always say, like, no, we have to take sometimes very conservative decisions in the interest of company. Because, and just take with, bite with pinch of salt, that's it. I think whether you like it or you don't like it. And there is a due respect we should give it to the profession. So I had to take such decisions, and which doesn't give a right taste or a right vibe to the teams at times. But that's fine. I think I'm paid for that, right? So I always believe, right? No, I'm not here to just give a good news. I'm here to give the actual factual news. Whether you like it or not, that's a different story. So that is how we should work in equality, and I practice that.
Great. So, sir, from your experience, where do most aseptic failure actually originate? Is it from systems, people, or culture?
So I can say, I think these are all. It's very difficult to pinpoint in one place. I think this is always a cumulative effect, a cascading effect, I can say, because the culture, people create a culture, right? Culture is nothing but a value system we create and we believe, and from there the practices, right? But end of the day, that value system is created by people again, right? But the only difference is maybe somebody else, right? You cannot create a culture first now. Maybe whatever you create, that belief system, it will be for next generations.
Correct.
So this is again maybe coming from some other your predecessors, but at the end of the day, the culture is created by people. But once you create that culture facilitates people to do sometimes the bad practices, if it's a bad culture, right? So then your systems, right? So it's a combination of all three: culture and the people. So if the idea is wrong, like we always say, right, that there is of late you are seeing some of the biopics. These are amazing, right? Now there is one movie called 12th Fail. The guy, so then you cannot blame a culture when you have people who are coming from such a background and they are creating amazing results. Then why we don't blame culture that time? So we give that credit to person, right? So not to, and we don't say why culture could not prevent him to achieve that, right? So, but end of the day, people can really go against the culture and belief system and create wonders. But when we talk about a normalization and we talk about the mass, then your culturism predominantly drives people behavior. But there are always people who always can challenge. So that is the reason one of the things. We always, you have to challenge the status quo. But to come to this sterile injectables to give that context is, it's a combination of three. It's a culture and people and the system. So all this, when you work on these things, so one element cannot fix this problem. But if you see the contamination in sterile, particularly when we talk about the contamination risk, they're predominantly coming from people behaviors, right? Because in a normal scenario where you have everything is set in a validated system, the predominant source of contamination is your people and their behavior. But when we talk about people behavior, before we really make them reason or cause of this contamination, what kind of systems we have, like automation, or then attires, their facilitations, the training, the kind of selection, talent selection, all these are very important, right? So definitely that outcomes can be very much controlled by systems, right? And again, that depends on, and that when you say systems, the level of effort is again depend on the culture, no? Whether you are recruiting from which kind of background, which kind of education you are taking, or we are talking about the Western side of the world, or Asian side of the world, or Indian side of the world. So this is all about culture, right? So in my opinion, I cannot say there is one reason. It's a combination of all three. But end of the day, if I have to blame, I have to make one responsible for the outcome of contamination is systems, because culture is volatile, and it can change anytime, generation to generation, and people is a reflection of culture and systems. So if you really wanted to different outcome, the only way is we have to work on systems and fix them and organize them and go more and more into automations. Then the culture and people will automatically change, because what we are talking today were not there 20 years back. Somehow we achieved it, right? Of course, we still have a lot of challenges, but we could achieve on fast track, right? So because people had that commitment and determined to bring in that systems. So unless you don't bring in that systems, nothing can change. So culture always will haunt you. People always do mistakes. The only way to is, the enabler is the system and the science.
Yes. So do you remember any example you can give when you say people behavior affects the whole ecosystem? So do you remember any challenge that you faced? Maybe an example of any aseptic failure which happened?
Okay, yeah, it's interesting person. Yes, one of my career, like now, we were handling one of the biggest media field failure, right? So there is also one of my new assignment, and I joined, I think, 2-3 months in that company as a compliance head. Then it is also a multinational company, and we were having a few experts in our site as a leadership team, and it's a mix of cross functions with a lot of blend of Indian and American culture, systems, right? Then all of a sudden, we were just going in the transformation journey, and all of a sudden we had one media field failure. It was a grass failure, and it was kind of shock. Like now, usually when you do media fields, we get, if it's a cross failure, you get it's majorly engineering equipment failure, because there is some breach or some leakage or something happen. Or if sometimes if a people are some practices issue, then you may get some one vial or contamination, or fuel contamination. But this was a grass failure, but we could not find anything wrong in the equipments. So then we kept on investigating, and finally we attributed that to a bad behavior. So which is very unusual, and we took a lot of time to surface that fact. And then we had multiple challenges. Of course, it was a failure, and we do impact assessment. But the biggest challenge what we had to worry is, then why, if that was a personal mistake, and that was due to a personal mistake, why that person could not come and say I did this mistake,
Yes.
right? Then, okay, if he did not say, why anybody could not raise that flag that, okay, he did that mistake, and so that was all about, that was the culture, right? That was the culture now issue we were talking about, right? So people can always do mistakes, but culture facilitate that, inculcate that mistakes and protect those mistakes. And that is a very typical mentality or typical behaviors of particularly the Asian countries, right? Particularly, I can say. So then people try to protect that guy, and he did a mistake. He did a mistake. He never wanted to commit it. Huh? Then all this went on, and we were all working very crazily to identify the root cause. So then that is where I can say the culture plays a role, right? It is, we know, everybody know that we need to do right thing, and we have required systems there, and we have established practice there. But one Tom, Dick, Harry one night do crazy thing, and if you really see the injectable observations today, you give us now we discussed about state of the art facilities, beautiful infrastructure, but still we have surprising inspections where somebody did some mistakes. So people continue to do silly things, right? So people continue to do silly things. I think what we should learn is, and whatever you train them, uh, that is the reality, right? We have to face it. So while we have to identify those individuals and train them and coach them, mentor them, and if required, we have to take an action or show some zero tolerance. But that never going to be zero, right? So we'll have continue to have some individuals who are crazy enough to do some mistakes, right? So I think then where we have to create that system and culture, then these things are openly talked and we openly discussed and openly highlighted proactively before it happens. Otherwise, what happens? So that is the responsibility of leadership to create that surveillance and create that indicators, how they get that indicators and that flags, and take actions proactively before even without. Then we no need to take actions against people when things go wrong, right? So then that is one episode which we taught us a lot about people's behavior, how they behave when they. It was like a Squid Game, right? People that is all about Squid Game, right? When people come to that moment of life and death, then you know the real personality of the person. Of course, that is kind of an extreme series, I can say, but of course, people do crazy things when they are in stress, right? So we have to be ready for that. And rather than working on those individuals, my suggestion is always work on systems which will enable culture, and culture will decide the people's behaviors.
Okay. This also depicts both like the culture and the people behavior. It's like what culture company provides to the employees, and
Yes,
also major role is how the person reacts to it, or how is the person's background. Like uh, the person should take the complete responsibility,
true,
and it should be escalated on timely basis, and even the company should give them an independent culture to share and communicate properly and everything.
true.
Everything will be under control. And talking about the systems, and as you said, the lineup, I think that is the best example you have given.
Thank you. Yeah, true. That is how we just learn hard way anyway.
So, sir, what are the top two gaps you still see in the real world contamination control despite advanced clean rooms and isolators?
So one is okay. Isolate the clean rooms, advanced clean rooms and isolators is definitely uh, one of the a big advancement which is happened and which with respect to contamination control. But the isolator is not a complete solution for contamination, right? The isolator has come with its own challenges. The decontamination of isolator and its maintenance, upkeep, its integrity, and the kind of automation it requires and personal awareness it requires is very high, right? But definitely it provides a very much advantage when compared to conventional or felines, right? So then the overall upkeep of the facility and its management, isolator management, like even isolator also has to be dependent on a lot of manual operations, right? So when it again depends, it doesn't mean that you just load everything and you do a decontamination isolator. It all depends how you clean the isolator, how you clean, before you subject it for decontamination, how you segregate your material. That depends on effectiveness of the decontamination, right? So like it's like a dishwasher at home, right? So you cannot just load everything and clean your utensils. Yeah. It needs some preparation. It needs some preparation. You have to rinse it. You have to clean all the debris, then load it, and then only you get a clean utensils. Otherwise, your dishwasher won't clean your utensils to clean. Isolator is like that. Isolator is not a straight ready-made solution for your contamination problem. It's still a lot of diligence, upkeep, and consistent practices to be followed, right? So that is also one of the challenge, even with the we seen with facilities. In spite of having isolators, they have a contamination risk. Number one. Number two, we have isolators for the modern facilities. We still predominantly we are running facilities with the conventional fill lines, where there is a lot of manual interventions, and we still doing that conventional practices with a lack of oversight, lack of proper monitoring. So there is a huge work which still has to be done in majority of the companies with respect to managing wraps. Like although we don't have isolators, but now most of the companies have wraps, the so-called O wraps, open wraps. But there is a lot of work to be done in the O wraps to come to that level where we can say we to a comfortable level with respect to contamination control. So mainly this is with respect to the intervention by people and its practices and its governance, right? So I had one experience, right, where I was facing one of the MHRA inspector. This gentleman is very renowned. He's author of European regulation. So he say, right, so he always he comes very specifically to floor. He's by microbiologist. He asked one question, very interesting question: why you recruit only uh, uh, any microbiologist in? So we say we have any sterile company. Say you have predominant number of microbiologists. They say how many microbiologists in this company? Then said we have around 90, 100, and all working on QC and QA. Then he asked them why these microbiologists don't work in production. Very interesting question, right? So why our companies are not recruiting microbiologists for production activities? Why microbiologists are only working in QC or QA? So he was probing the management. Then I'm very happy when you see microbiologists working for production, but I don't see anyone because every microbiologist wanted to work in QC. I don't know why. Right? So that really given me a lot of thought provocation. Yeah, you are right. I think why, because and it doesn't mean that production doesn't need a production with M farm or B farm. Why don't we try microbiologists in sterile lines where maybe they understand better in the contamination? I think one of the change what we have to bring in is microbiologists also to be microbiologist is not confined for lab work. I think there should be more partnering, right? And microbiology should start working in other departments, right? Production, particularly when it comes to sterilizing tools, that is very important. Or biologics. If you go to biologics companies, I think there are many microbiologists work for production also as well, because there you have a fermentation, a purification, and all. But maybe in fill finish facilities, it's I don't know. Somehow we don't see microbiologists working for production. I think that is one change I believe will add more of a value, right? Second, in engineering, right? Now, engineering, we have very less intervention by engineers. The engineers are always in pharma working for maintenance. I don't know why engineers we don't work for QA or the production, right? So I think somewhere we need to create that talent pool with a diverse academic background and competencies to work this, drive these critical functions. When I say in sterile, critical functions are your production, engineering, and quality both QA and QC, right? So then I think somewhere we need is allows that, okay, if he is a B Farm, M Farm, he'll work in production. If it's a microbiologist, he work in QC. If engineer, he works in engineering. I think leadership should come forward and create a talent pool who are having a diverse and do that rotation. I think that will be more successful, right? So that is where my opinion comes.
Okay, great. So, what do you like most being a microbiologist? What is that one thing you like?
But to be to that, okay. So like means like in career, like you said. Okay. So I that's what I said, right? One of the I'm really proud to be a microbiologist for definitely one area where although I worked, because after my 25, 26 years, I worked in microbiology as a practicing microbiologist for only few years. And before that, my education, right? My 3 years BSc and 2 years MSc. So altogether, I was hardly 8 to 10 years of active microbiology, doing hands-on practicing microbiology out of 30 years. Remaining 20 years, I was not touching any plate or any culture or anything. Just I was doing all other stuff like EA, validations, management, compliance, responses, remediation, all that stuff. But I'm still happy because the core science I learned out of microbiology, right? As I said, that ability to visualize things, right? Without even so now I can sit here and say, if somebody is talking about compressed gas connection, or somebody is talking about steam line connection, or somebody talking about autoclave load configuration, I can visualize. If somebody is talking about contamination, I can visualize. So that is the intuition I learned out of microbiology. This is what I'm really proud to be a microbiologist. Then I can apply that, right? That I can visualize things, I can apply in my day-to-day assessment, and I can make a quality decision out of that thing without really even touching or seeing. That is a very kind of a mechanical work, right? So you don't need to touch and see everything. You can visualize a lot of things.
Correct. Okay. So what is the most common reason sterile sites fail US FDA or EU inspections today? Data integrity, EM lapses, or human behavior?
I think one of the current challenges, I think there was a time where we had issues because of the poor facilities and infrastructure, right? I think I can say 10 years back, then poor facilities and infrastructure created a lot of problems for sterile, right? We were not giving enough focus into design and upkeep of the facilities and systems and processes. But I can say last 10 to a decade, significant investment went on that space. Now you see people are creating a state-of-the-art facilities, single-use systems, high-speed lines, highly automated lines, isolators, right, robotics. So then electronic applications like data integrity, we have EBMRs, e-logbooks, electronic systems, right? I think companies have made a significant investment and effort to address those certain infrastructure issues, investment issues, application issues. But still today, behavior continue to be one of the challenge, right? Because whatever you have, end of the day, it has to be managed by people. Of course, earlier, if some activity involves 10 steps, maybe that is reduced to 3 steps now, or maybe 1 step. But still, that 1 step has to be done by person, right? So we could not come to a level where we completely eliminate a human intervention into our processes, and which may be possible for certain sectors, like highly automated sectors like IT service, some of the service sectors, or you can do today banking, right? So there was a time when we were standing in the queue for whole day for a DD. Now we hardly go to bank in the lifetime. I don't know when I went to bank, right? So Then automation, right? So today you can see there are driverless cars, right? It's a completely, cars are designed humanless, built humanless, driven humanless, right? So there are some industries which are completely evolved to a without human intervention. And there are a lot of checks and balances, even there are human intervention. There are a lot of checks and balances where it will give indication what is going wrong. Or you have an opportunity to test 100% to say it is wrong or right or wrong. But unfortunately in pharma, first of all, we cannot, I don't think we can eliminate complete human intervention, at least for maybe next few decades. And unfortunately, we cannot test every article to say whether it is right or wrong, right? So we have to live with this for maybe half century or maybe one more century. I don't know, next generation will bring something new. But till that time, I think partially, fully, we are dependent on humans and their behaviors, right, to sustain in this sector. And that continues to be a problem, particularly injectables, and that is really haunting industry today. So I was just reviewing the 483 we see. The very best facilities having numerous observations, and predominantly these are related to human behaviors, their understanding, their inconsistent practices and all. For which, again, coming back to my original statement, again, I cannot really blame people for that, right? It's again somewhere we are lacking with respect to the systems we create or with respect to the culture we create, right? And end of the reflection is that it looks like your human behavioral issue, right? So that is the reason we have to combine all these three to come and say people are really not doing any mistakes to be successful, to run the successful injectable lines.
Okay. So what was the most stressful phase in Steriles?
Like, like the same thing. One of the thing I said, right, that we had sometimes the most stressful phase is any media fill failure is a real nightmare to the commercial line, right? Then you have to inform the regulatory agency within 3 days, and you have to complete investigation, and your whole product is on hold in market. You have to make some decision, either we have to continue or not. So that is the media fill failure, I can say, is the most stressful situation in operating Steriles, because the impact is huge, and you are dealing with something which is unknown, right? And many times you may not come across with the root cause. The second is stressful situation is like, if any inspection goes wrong and you end up with warning letter, it's a long journey. It takes 4 to 5 years to remediate any site, like typically. Very few sites could get it on fast track in 2 years or 3 years, but typically it's a 4 or 5 years journey. And there's a lot of stress in 4 or 5 years, right? Because you are under watch, you have to do a lot of things, and you won't get a new products approved, right? There's a lot of impact on the business and the projections. So these two are very big impact things in Sterile, in working in a leadership.
And one audit you'll never forget.
I said, right. So I remember not I remember more failures than successes. So one inspection I remember, it was like a nightmare, right? So it is a 7 inspectors, 5 agencies. They come at 8 o'clock and they leave at 10:30 in the night. And I was just standing in front of them, and both are national, like kind of very high statute people. Then I was handling them. It was so stressful. I think I will never forget that day, that like few days of my life when it comes to inspections in industry, my course. And I hardly, right? Because then after that I come hardly to 12, 1 p.m. and I have to start at 5, 6. I think that was the toughest time in my career.
Aseptic gowning, overrated or underrated?
Overrated, I can say.
Why?
Why? Because I think we were seeing, right, like in that guy, it took half an hour with lot of meticulously, he wore the gown, and then he took a lot of effort to complete that.
Yes.
Right? Still there are 20, 30 observations, just people pour it. Right? So and you imagine a situation of an operator. He was doing that on every day basis, right? So then he had to work. People do practice is, but and whatever the small negligent or the small mistakes they do, they are cost very heavily. So there are sometimes I say overrated because some companies have gone into very conservative, right? Very too tight, which is not comfortable, and they don't they ignore the signals given by employees. They continue with that gowning, strict gowning, thinking that that is really helping, but that is where they are in trouble, right? So gowning, of course, gowning is very important in sterile. It has to be very important, very meticulously designed and practiced. But over gowning is not going to give any credit or any advantage in the operation. So more than what is required, right? So
What is required?
more than what is required. So because the gowning should be always give a comfort to the person, right? Otherwise, I had a situation where I brought consultant. They could not even go to inside because they lost breath while by the time they reached the inside the gowning and they had to come back. So then I had to change that gowning to simplify that, right? So because it was too much. So many companies have such some extra practices. Gowning is one of the classic example where there is a need to simplify. Really, if you need a sustainable outcome. Otherwise, over gowning is not going to give any credit or any contamination control. It creates a lot of fatigue, lot of stress, exhaustion, and that reflects into contamination. Either that reflects into bad behavior or that reflects into contamination.
Very true. It's also the psychological behavior of the person. He's into so much and then performing and doing everything is very tough for them.
True.
Great, sir. Sir, any closing remarks from your end?
Hey, thank you. I think thanks. I really enjoyed it. It was a good. So I like no I the whole ultimate goal like is I really enjoyed my work. I really worked hard. I feel, and I could grow in my career. Like I started as a microbiologist. Now I am a vice president of a large company. Then I seen the world. I met people. I really enjoyed my journey, honestly speaking. I in all aspects, my work, by failures, by successes. So every part, if I look back, I reflect back. It's always been a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster, but really enjoyed it. Then whatever time I have, maybe one more decade, I'll anyway try to do my best and. But in the process, I think the full goal I said is I just wanted to make the place better than what I received, and create few more people who can have the same thinking, so that this is cascaded, right? This is cascaded to next generations. So, but the message is very clear for next generation is like the ultimately you have to be very thorough what you do, right? So although that the one of the biggest privilege for the current generation is the information, which is lacking when we started careers, right? Now you have everything is just you ask Copilot and you will get an answer, right? But that make your life easy, but with a lot of responsibility. So we should be very uh, careful that technological advancement is coming with a lot of accountability and responsibility. So you take it when you grab the new technology, but please remember that that is coming with some accountability and responsibility. Everyone should remember that. Then just do good things and enjoy what they're doing, and definitely things will be better.
And we really enjoyed listening to your journey. It was really grateful for having you on today's podcast at Pharma. Thank you, Hemanth.
Thank you very much.